On the motion dealing with the videos, before hearing from Mr. Bissett, I just want to make sure or check that has the Commonwealth provided to the defendant every single video segment it intends to use that's been done from this downloaded copy.
I guess I'd say, Your Honor, we haven't provided the actual segments because there would be a substantial amount of time to actually produce them. And the motion we filed was to request of the court to give us guidance as to which form we would produce them in. What we've done is...
Isn't that a problem? I mean, part of the ruling as to whether it's admissible depends on whether they indeed are a exact copy given the questions that's been raised in the affidavit of Bruce Koenig with respect to the Mojave screen capture system. So I don't, to rule in the abstract, and the defense hasn't had a chance to do its own comparison, and it's now a week or so before the Commonwealth's about to rest.
Your Honor, I guess what I'd say is they have the greater world. They don't have the actual prepared clips, but they have the Mojave
Oh, they do
extract.
have...
Right. Your Honor asked us to give them that. We gave it to them.
So they have the Mojave extract,
They
and
do.
they have those segments, and
That's the whole of the world.
Right, but that
We
would
then cut it
presumably
down.
take a long time to look at that whole. Have you given them the specific time segments so they can just look at those segments? Have you
Yes,
given them
Judge,
those?
consistent with the motion or the email that we sent at Your Honor's request on January 8th.
Okay. So
We're still staying with what we had said then in terms of the segments we would eventually prepare if the court allowed us to.
Okay, so they have the Mojave disc, and they have the specific segments of it that you intend to, that
Yes.
you would like to put in.
Yes, sir.
And when was that provided?
The Mojave was provided about a week and a half ago
Yes.
to counsel.
Yes.
And the specific segments are the same as those that have been previously provided?
Referenced in January 8th.
All right. And with respect to the sequence camera views and the side-by-side camera views and the frame syncing, have they seen what that looks like and
I believe so, Your Honor.
on the
because-
Mojave disc?
Not on the Mojave disc, because the Mojave disc is sort of a play straight through piece of video, Judge. But that's why we attached examples to our original motion, so that the defense would have an idea of when we were to change things or in any way not just make a straightforward clip, what that would look like.
Thank you.
But to do that for all of the video would be
Right.
extremely time consuming.
I think it makes sense for us to hear an examination of Mr. Reset, and then I will hear any argument with respect to...
I think I can save us a lot of time by
Okay.
playing two 30-second clips
Okay.
before we begin. And then if we need to go further, I think we can do that. I have the cable hooked in here.
Could you just indicate what this is, from which
Yes,
disc?
as soon as- Let me just
Okay.
get it up,
Sure.
Your Honor, and then I'll explain what I'm going to
Okay.
do. So, I'm going to show the court two 30-second clips. The first clip is from the hard drive that I was given about a week ago. I don't remember the exact date, but 7 to 10 days ago.
The Mojave
Yes, Your Honor.
captured hard drive.
And what they've given us is a hard drive with quite a number of clips on it. The one I'm playing is about 15 minutes long, and it takes place when the three men come back at about 3:30 in the morning, and the clip begins with them entering the house, and the court has seen video, and our contention is that when he enters the kitchen, Mr. Hernandez has an iPad-like object in his hand. You see him coming into the great room with the iPad-like object in his hand. You see the three men at the top of the stairway on camera 13. Ortiz and Wallace go down in the basement. Hernandez goes through the vestibule, up the stairs, clearly carrying a lit iPad, then comes down the stairs and we say clearly has an iPad. You can see the reflection of it on his white shirt. And then he goes to the basement door, and this video stops and freezes. The court has seen that on both camera 14 and 13. This segment that I'm going to play is from the Mojave clip, and it's event 5, which appears on their thing, and it's camera 13, and I'm going to begin playing at 7:40.
And then you're going to play the non-Mojave
And
one?
then I'm going to play the non-Mojave, and what the court will see is that the non-Mojave shows Mr. Hernandez in the middle of the vestibule as he comes downstairs with a lit object in his hand. And you'll see that the Mojave has that missing. It's not there. You go from seeing Mr. Hernandez on the stairway coming down, and then he's not there in the vestibule, and he's not there at the top of the doorway.
Which was the criticism that the expert had about limiting dropping things.
He says that Mr. Koenig says these programs that import software have random skips and drop frames and duplicate frames trying to adjust for the problems of accompanying digital cameras. Mr. Reset, and the Commonwealth's memorandum says Mr. Reset has viewed all of this, and everything is the same.
Thank you. Well, let's play that.
All right. You can see the shadow from the second floor. You can see Mr. Hernandez there. You don't see anything of Mr. Hernandez in the vestibule. So now I'll stop that, and I'll go to the other drive, the non-edited drive, if I can coordinate this. Now, what I propose to play now, Your Honor, is you'll remember in the memorandum objecting to the way the Commonwealth proposed to proceed, I recounted how Trooper Giassi, in advance of trial, had prepared clips of the same material by using a camera to get the entire screen from playing the DVR. So what I've done now, and what I let me just put it up so I can show the court.
This is the one that Trooper Giassi prepared that initially back before the trial, you got a
That's
letter
correct.
that was what they were going to be using.
That's correct, Your Honor. So let me just stop it before we... So this is a shorter clip, Your Honor. This is about 2.5 minutes. I'm going to start...
But it includes that.
It includes the
stairway.
part we've just looked at.
Right.
And it's going to go to the same camera. This clip that Trooper Giassi prepared begins with camera 14 and goes to camera 13, which is the camera we were just looking at. And so just for the Commonwealth's information, this is under Trial Exhibits, Category 11, Home Surveillance DVR, and then file number 8, after return June 17. So,
Your Honor, the Commonwealth is not proposing to use this. Look at the quality of it. Look at how it's lost light in the corners already, because this is someone literally taking a camera and videoing a screen.
yeah, well, you'll see this is missing a key piece of evidence, too. And I'll be happy to play the hard drive that has the exported stuff without being put into Adobe Professional editing program. So I'm going to advance this to 1 minute and 40 seconds, which is about the same time that that we saw on the other video. So it's not, so you see.
And why don't you
Notwithstanding-
play it? Why don't you play it from the, or said if you can play it that same from the.
I can do that.
No, not yet. If you can play it from the, unless you have the original.
I have the original, I just have to go into the office next door and get it, and it'll take me 2 minutes to put it up.
Or they might be able to just play that.
I don't think he's got it set up, so.
We've actually seen the original already in court.
We have.
Well, I know, but I'd like to,
Yes,
for the
I'll get
court's
that.
benefit of comparison. What? Yeah, I think we're here, DVR.
And this that you have is the mobile you can
Don't you need the DVR?
I do not. I have a hard drive with a copy of the DVR. I can play through the computer. He's right.
Okay. So the original cloned copy does not need to be played through the DVR?
No, it's more complicated than that, Judge. The original piece that came in through the trooper who had done the copying
Right.
must come in through the DVR or a similar DVR. Then the DVR itself, you can use to make an export copy.
Right, so this is the export
That's
copy.
what, yeah, that's what council has.
Right,
According to Mr. Reset, I should say.
right. Do you want the court to look at the actual exhibit?
If it's here, that's probably
We have
better. Then Mr. Reset could play that.
We need the mouse.
You know, I can cut to the chase. Well, I'm not entirely sure why council's copy doesn't show those frames, but I was just watching what Mr. Reset thinks he gave to council, and those frames are in it. So The Mojave capture...
We can only deal with what was given. They're prepared for this argument based on what was provided, which raises the whole issue of how 1.5 weeks ago the Commonwealth provided this information, and 2 months or so into the trial, when they were supposed to be designated their trial exhibits. Before the trial began, you were instructed to sit down with each other before the trial began. They were told by the report that they had attached what films were going to be shown, and it wasn't until very late in this process that the Commonwealth decided that it actually wanted to do this in completely different formats with completely different programs that they had not been advised of, had not, previous to being advised, had the opportunity to consult with an expert. I mean, that sort of raises the whole issue, and it becomes even more complicated if what was then provided a week and a half ago is not, in fact, what the Commonwealth proposes to use.
I guess what I'd say is what we provided is what we proposed, and council, we don't know what happened between now and then. I don't know if council was actually playing it off the hard drive that we gave them, but Mr. Ressett's copy, that was what he copied for them, I just watched it, and it shows those frames. I guess in a way, Judge, we would stipulate that they're on the original. We watched the original in court.
Well, question is the reliability of this program, and it would help the court to see once again the same 30-minute segment, unless you stipulate that the videotape they just played would not be a reliable copy of the exhibit and evidence.
Absolutely, Judge. I'll absolutely stipulate that if the Mojave copy dropped that many frames, particularly substantial events, we wouldn't be allowed to play it. That's the case law. But that's not the case, Your Honor. I guess what I'd say is that factually that's not what actually happens.
Well, Mr. Mencken, I don't know. Was there anything you did to what they provided to you? Or?
I mean, I've got a hard drive that they gave me. I mean, it's plugged into my computer. I randomly looked at that because that's a fairly significant piece of evidence, and
and it's on your hard drive.
This is a portable hard drive that they gave me.
And it's on, what you just played for the court was from that hard drive?
Correct. And so, I mean, it's hard when you get a hard drive with 100 or 200 files on it.
Sure.
You can't possibly look at everything. But, if they had given us DVDs...
Well, I really, if it was on the hard drive that the defendant received, they need a new hard drive, and there may or may not be time for them to review the new provisions. As I say, this was something that should have been done before trial by the Commonwealth. It was aware of the problems with the issues with the video, existing video. It was, I assume, the Commonwealth's that Mr. Resett was aware of, or Trooper GOC, or was aware of the Mojave program, and Movavi program, and there was no notice given at all to the defendant that this program was going to be used. They've consulted with an expert who says there are lots of problems with it. After consulting with an expert who said there are lots of problems with it, they get a hard drive. It reflects some of the problems the expert said. Now they've been told, well, the hard drive, we don't know how that is on the hard drive because it shouldn't be. They need a new hard drive, and if there's time for the court to rule and time for the defense to review the new hard drive, the court will make a ruling at that time.
If I might, Your Honor, I was not expecting the defense to play a segment, but Mr. Reset seems to indicate to me that the defense played two different segments that are not, that they're not comparable. So,
Well, if it was from such a camera,
Yes.
if we could just have Mr. Reset play sort of the comparable segment on the, what are we on right now, Mr. Reset?
Camera 13 starting at...
Are we on the DVR or are we on the?
No. Yeah, we're on the DVR.
We're on the DVR, okay.
Starting at 3:20.
camera 13 from the clone copy, or
This is the copy that's in evidence, Your Honor.
right, from the copy in evidence.
Just...
So what are we looking at, Mr. Reset? So we're looking at the court now. Pause it for a second.
I'm just going to go close.
This is what we just looked at, his original first one?
On this first one, correct.
All right. So Judge, Mr. Reset tells me that this is the original hard drive and what's on it for the time segment that counsel just played.
Right, and that's not on the hard drive.
Now you can see the time.
No, wait.
So hold on, wait, that's what Ron's going to ask me. But what she's saying is, he played it and you couldn't see the defendant walking down.
He played 237. He played 1 at 44.
Okay.
He won 37.
You want 37, the first one played was...
Okay, I got it.
So it's 3 minutes later.
All right, so,
So, again, this was...
That's, you'll see, 1534
Yeah.
to 13.
And now here's 1537. They would click the same thing, but it's 3 minutes later. Here, he skips. Boom. Boom.
oh, I see. So did Your Honor see that? That the 1537 segment, the frames don't exist in the original either.
Right.
So in other words, it is a true and accurate copy of what's available to anybody.
Well, I'll have to look at that again. I mean, I just have seen this last night, looking at,
Why don't you take a recess while you look at that?
Yeah.
And if you had a second one, why don't you look at that, because there were two different types.
okay.
Well, all right. No, when we're ready.